backstage, and his name is Lance, and he looks a little shy, you know, like, and tell the people I'm going to do autographs and photographs after. He says, okay, he's going to introduce me. He's probably going to introduce me. And here is William Shatner, you know. Hello! Lance, you're not shy at all. Forthright. Yes, so I am going to do autographs and photographs after you were here. So I don't know how to begin these things. You know, to tell you some anecdote of being in the town, but I don't really have any. But so I guess I'll just tell you I started off. Do we have questions set up? Microphone? Yes? Okay, good. I mean, you should get to it because I don't have much to say. I finished another season of Better Late Than Never. A couple of months ago, Terry Bradshaw, Henry Winkler, George Foreman, and Jeff Dial, and I went to Europe. And 6 weeks, we wandered around Europe. I guess the highlight for me, after 6 weeks of being in Germany, 2 cities in Germany, Lithuania, where we went looking for my mother's parents, and Stockholm in Sweden, and then to Spain, and then to Morocco. But the highlight, I think, was in Sweden, where a small percentage, maybe like 1% of the Swedes like to eat fermented cod. Fermented, it's like meat that's gone bad. So this is fish that's gone bad, which is even worse. And they put it in the can, and it's so bad that the can looks like it's going to, the gases inside. Why are there more people over there than there are people over there? That's interesting, you know? You migrated to the right. Okay, this is an observation as I'm talking. So they let this fish go bad. Then they put it in the can to go worse. And as it's getting worse, the gases expand in the can. The gases expand in the can, and the fish get worse. You could rap. You could rap on fish that's going bad. You could rap on anything. So the fish goes bad inside the can, and the can expands like bad stuff in the can. And we all know that if a can is expanding, you throw it out. I mean, you want to get it out of the way. You don't want to eat it. The Swedes, like 1%, love that stuff. So, as usual, the people behind the camera say, all right, listen guys, sit around the table and open the fermented fish can. And then if anybody is brave enough, eat it. So we're all sitting around, I think it was George Foreman who opened the can. And we should all learn this lesson. A fermenting can explodes. The moment he put the opener in the can, this thing exploded. Now, have you seen policemen who, I mean, experienced, bold policemen, they call them, you know, they're 30 years on the force, they're rough and tough, and they've seen everything. And even they, when they see a dead body that's been there for a long time, you know, they'll put a handkerchief there. All right, now we got to arrest the guy who did this, but they can't stand the smell of the dead body. This fermented fish smelled worse than that. I have smelled decaying flesh, okay? I've smelled it. It's really awful. That's what it is, O-F-F-A-L, it's awful. Sorry, it just occurred to me right in the headlines, I had to say it. The awful is awful, and it's incomparable. So much so that we had 5 cameras shooting the table. So there's 4 cameras here, and there was 1 camera over here shooting over here. So this camera here caught this cameraman here, like in the frame. And on camera, and I'm sure they're going to use it, this guy projectile vomits at the smell of that decaying fish. So the 4-time award-winning Super Bowl winner, Terry Bradshaw, this rough, tough guy. He's so tough. Here's how tough Terry Bradshaw is. He's playing football for the Steelers, and a linebacker grabs him, and Terry said, and I just braced myself there, and this huge linebacker couldn't pick him up. And then the referee blew the whistle, the play was dead, and Terry relaxed, and whereupon the linebacker picked it up and pile drived it into the ground. And something snapped in Terry's neck, and he couldn't move his arms and his legs. And he lay there, and he said, I started crying. I was paralyzed. And they picked him up, they took him out. It took 2 days, and apparently it was like a bruise, like a blood vessel. And it started to heal, feelings came back. And the next week, the following week, the coach said, you gotta get back in there. And Terry, afraid for his neck and all, was back playing quarterback a few days after his neck was almost broken. That's how tough he is. And when he smelled this stuff, he started screaming. You know, I used to say screaming like a girl, but that got bad publicity. So he was screaming like a little kid. Screaming, oh my God, I smell it! And he's running back and forth. So I'm aware that the camera is on me. So I pick up one of those pieces of fish and I pop it in. That's what they did. They plotted it. Well, hands up for those of you who have eaten smelly cheese, like Limburger cheese. Has anybody eaten like one person has eaten Limburger cheese? I've eaten Limburger cheese. It doesn't taste anything like it smells. In fact, it smells so bad that it kind of pickles the interior of your mouth. And that's what this fish did. It kind of bubbled and a little smoke came out of my nose. It didn't taste like as bad as it smelled. I wouldn't choose it. I wouldn't have it as an hors d'oeuvre. Good evening, sir. Would you like a little hors d'oeuvre? Our dinner party would be very nice for you. So I popped another one, and then I popped a third one. And every time I did it, Terry's running back and forth. Oh my God! Oh my God! Whereupon I picked up another piece of fish and I ran after Terry Bradshaw. And he doesn't run. I can barely walk, but he can't run like the way he used to. So I'm running after him. And in another scene, he said, "Oh, Shatner, that's a very good imitation of running," he had said to me. So I'm running after him as best I can, and he makes a cut, and his knees aren't like anything like they used to be, and he fell to the ground. I jumped on top of Terry Bradshaw, and I'm waving this piece of fish. So that was my favorite moment in Better Late Than Never, which will be on the air this winter. Take a look at it. And you know, I'm writing. I got 2 books out there now. The Spirit of the Horse, which is I'm obsessed by horses. I mean, I would be. I don't know what I would do when the day comes, because there'll be a day, but hopefully the day may come after I die that I can't get on a horse. That would be really great. He's dead, he can't get on a horse. if I have to stop riding, and I ride competitively, and I drive horses and I ride them. So I've got a book out there called The Spirit of the Horse. There's a spiritual aspect to all that, and I write about it. There's a book out there called Zero G2, which is a sequel to Zero G. It was out last year. Great science fiction read. You ought to try it. And I'm just finishing up work on a book on aging, in which it will be entitled Live Long and ... We don't know whether you prosper or not as you get older. Only if you can write a book about not knowing whether you're going to prosper or not. Which I guess the premise of the book is, I don't know whether this will work for you, but this is what I've done. And so that'll be out there next year. And what are you doing? You got a reserved seat. How do you get a reserved seat, please? What? How do you? Oh, you're not. What is that? What is a reserved seat? Nobody's in it. That's like making a reservation at a restaurant. I'm bringing a party of 20, and then you never call back. That would be. But if you hate a restaurant like they were rude to you, I just thought of it. If a restaurant was very rude, next week you go, this is Miss Emily Jones Bailey. You have to have 3 names. And I'd like to make a reservation for 20 people, please. At 20, we might be, there might be another couple coming in. So it might be 22. We'd like a private table, please. And we love that your specialty, where you do the thing with the fish. I'd like to do the thing with the fish. The spoiled fish, the stuff that comes in the can. Would you do that for me, please? 20 to 25 people coming will be there at 7 o'clock and never call back. You don't go to the restaurant. They're all ready. The owner has said, we're going to have 25 people with the fish that comes, explodes the can. And that's how you get back at the restaurant, who was very rude to you the previous week. I mean, 2 people reserved seats. Look at this. 2 reserved seats and nobody's in them. It's in the front. You in the camel jacket. In the camel jacket. Did you reserve that seat? How come you could reserve a seat?
Well, it's the same way you did yours.
Oh, you called the guy and said, I've got a camel jacket and I need to sit down in front. Okay, I got it. Where was I? What's your question?
First of all, big fan.
First of all?
Yes.
Wow, this is going to be extensive. I'm wondering what second of all is going to be.
First of all, what is your craziest fan story?
That was it. I told it to you.
Funniest on set story.
Well, that's true. All right. Craziest fan story. There was this lovely lady who stood in front of the microphone and asked me what my favorite fan story was. It was mind-boggling. I came back to my room after I went, and my underwear was missing. All my underwear was missing. I'd left money there, a ring with her. None of it was done. My underwear. Some of it I hadn't washed. Who wants that kind of thing? What kind of pervert wants that kind of thing? I don't want to meet that person. The phone rings. It's a lady. She says, I got your underwear. I said, give me my underwear. She said, you have to sign some pictures. I said, I'll sign some pictures. Give me my underwear. I was in front of an audience. Now I have to change my underwear. So she said, I'll come up to your room. I said, no, don't come up to my room. I'll meet you in the lobby. So I meet her in the lobby. She said, here's what I want signed. I said, what do you want signed? She said, here is what I want signed. I said, if you got my dirty underwear anywhere, I said, so I signed it and ran.
Get your underwear.
What?
You didn't get your underwear.
No, I didn't get my underwear. Okay. All right. You got a yellow, what is that? You got a yellow stripe across your bodice. What?
Miss Marvel.
Oh, Miss Marvel.
Yes.
Okay. Are you really marvelous? I'll bet you are.
My question for you is, about 20 years ago.
About what?
20 years ago.
You don't look 20. You were non-existent at the time, yeah.
I'm 35.
Are you really?
Yes, I am.
Wow, you look so young. Yeah.
20 years ago, I worked at Palm Beach.
Wait a minute, you're speaking too quickly.
Sorry. 20 years ago, I worked at
I got that 20 years. You said that 20 times.
Palm Beach Polo.
Who?
I was a parking attendant at Palm Beach Polo and Country Club.
You were a parking attendant at something polo.
Yes, Palm Beach Polo.
Oh, Palm Beach Polo.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was a parking attendant there.
Yeah, at 15, you were driving those cars?
No, I wasn't driving cars.
What were you doing? Parking polo at the parking place?
Getting money for tickets.
What?
Park your car.
You were saying park your cars.
Taking money for it.
At 15, you were taking money?
Yes.
What did you do at 18?
That's why I'm wearing this.
Wait a minute, you're not allowed to be funnier than me.
My question for you is, you almost ran me over with your car.
I was probably imagining you at 18.
I was just asking for an apology.
Oh, my dear, had I known what you would become. I am terribly sorry, but it doesn't sound right, because I don't have a car. I wouldn't have a car. Well, maybe I rented something or other. Yeah. Okay. I apologize
Thank you, sir.
profusely. And what's your question? Well, oh, over there. Aren't you kind? I'll be back. So how do you stand out in a crowd? Have you ever seen? Look, you gotta come up here. Come on. This is unbelievable. This is great. It's the lady who was wearing the wedding gown with the bony arm. Is she here in the audience? No. Okay, so much. Look at this. This is kind of cheap material. Did you have it printed? Did you buy it?
Yes.
Yes to which part of that question?
All right. Thanks to Goodwill for this.
Thanks to Goodwill! That's fabulous. It's Halloween. Are you a character of some kind?
I'm David S. Bumpkins.
David? What did you say?
David S. Bumpkins.
David S. Bumpkins. Bumpkins. Oh, a pumpkin! Of course. Why are you wearing that?
Because I'm here to scare the hell out of you.
You have. Look, you all right?
Oh, but I've actually got a question.
Please.
All right. So, speaking of your love of horses, a few years ago, I met John Delancey at a local My Little Pony convention.
At a what?
My Little Pony convention. And then there he said, since he has lunch with you ever so often, that he'd ask you to have a guest role in the show. And 3 years later, that's exactly what had happened. So do you remember that conversation?
Vividly. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you. Thank you. That's wild. You go around, do you go on the street like that? Sometimes, for me. What's your question?
I'm a fan of Better Late Than Never.
Great.
And, it's a reality show, but my sense is that reality shows aren't always as real as they seem. Can you tell me tidbits about, the kind of planning that goes into some of the wild things that happen?
Well, it is absolutely ad lib. In fact, you know, I'm doing 6 weeks. So this past time, the previous time we went through Asia in the middle of the monsoon. It was hotter than it and more humid than it is outside now. So what they might do is like the can thing. Let me see if I can think of another experience.
Like in the first one, there was a time when you went to like the border between South and North Korea. And
that was a setup I didn't like. In the show, the last year's show, we went to South Korea, and we were on the DMZ line, close to the DMZ line. I thought we were at the DMZ line because it looked like what you've seen pictures of, with soldiers marching down, up and down, and the border at the DMZ. That's where we were. In reality, what I didn't know, but apparently 2 of the 5 of us knew, that it was a movie set that they had there, that some film group had made. It looked exactly like it was, and it was right close to the DMZ, but a couple miles further south, so we weren't in any danger. But the terrain was mountainous, just like the Korean War, when our soldiers had to run out of the mountainous area and get down past Seoul. So they had set up a situation that was funny, but when I realized it was fake, I didn't know how to react to it. So I just sat it out. I just retired, along with Terry. And I complained about that. How do you do a reality show if it's not real? You know, then now you're play acting. And I didn't want to do it. So after that, they never did something that was planned. They would say, we're going to go to this restaurant, and the restaurant served incredibly food that isn't eaten in America very much. Chicken vagina. Do you like chicken vagina? Wow. That's what they said it was. Kind of George Foreman, when he doesn't like something, what is it, 2-time heavyweight champion of the world? It's a remarkable story. What he does as his getaway is he falls out of his chair and goes to sleep. I kid you not, okay? Terry screams like a girl child. So it's very real. They'll set up something and then see how we react to it. The last thing we filmed was so remarkable. Nothing exceptional happened except we were in the Sahara Desert in Morocco. We were in the Sahara Desert, and they had provided camels for us. And everybody got on their camel. They were brave enough to get on the camel. And like we've noted, I ride horses, and horses respond to your hands. You know, you're using your fingers just very, very gently. Here, move to the right. Here, you move a leg just gently. The horse goes to the right, goes to the back, back. And you're very gentle with the horse. A camel goes like this. Turn to the right, and the camel's head's like this. Camel's head turns to the right, keeps on turning, and finally the camel's looking at you. I swear to God. You pull the rein, you keep pulling the rein, and finally the camel's looking at you, saying, which way would you like to go? Which way would you like to go, son? I am an Arab camel. Which way would you like to go, left or right? And they go, camel spit. Have you ever been hit by camel spit? Don't. especially on camera. It's so much fun. So there I was, for example, and just what I've told you, the fun we were having, is a camel in the Sahara Desert. How are you who in your lifetime is going to do that? So it was remarkable from that point of view. So we did, that was to be the setup, but the camel turning and looking at me, I hadn't expected.
Good afternoon, Mr. Shatner.
Good afternoon.
About 30 years ago, you
Oh my God, you were that other lady 20 years ago? We're living in the past. I want to talk about the fortitude of facing that hurricane and all that thing coming on and raising funds to help and what a thing to have that thing coming at you. You know, it's one thing to be on Star Trek and you're told there's this monster coming at you and they have a piece of tape crossed on a board and they say, all right, that's the monster that's coming at you. Because it's going to take 6 months to a year to create the monster. You go, holy shit, I don't believe what's coming at me. It's 2 pieces of tape crossed out. So you're looking at the hurricane and the hurricane, and it's going to be a 5 hurricane, and it's going to be the backwash. You're going to be under 7 feet of water. And you're like, God, what am I going to do? You know, that thing is coming in. It must be so scary. And then it's one thing to be adult, but then to have children or animals, it's unimaginable, and especially now that we're hearing about Puerto Rico. Oh my God. Horrible. All right, is that your question? 20 years ago, they think the earth heated up. Yeah.
1987, you were in the UK, opening the monorail at Alton Towers theme park.
Jeez, I have no memory of that. What I opened up a
monorail.
A monorail, a people mover.
That's it.
Okay,
yes.
got it. Yeah.
I just wondered if you remember that occasion.
I do remember that now. Somebody fell out of the. Somebody.
Recently, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, not back then. I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, recently.
Okay.
But I was there when you were driving out with your Range Rover.
Can you understand?
Sorry, British accent.
No, that's all right.
But you driving out.
We're all burdened with things. You've got this accent. That's okay.
And you have the Queen too. But yes, you were driving out, and there were 2 young guys down the road, one with a camera.
And the other was you.
Yes.
The other was you.
The other was
30 years ago.
Yes.
You were waving.
Yes.
I remember you.
My brother took the photo.
What?
My brother took the photo.
Your brother
took the picture.
I took a picture.
And the problem was,
Yes.
he focused on the screen of the glass, not on your face. So the screen of the glass is nice and clear, but you're out of focus.
We must do it again sometime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are you having as much fun as I am? There's still a reserved seat that isn't filled. I can't understand. Oh, we're going to. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi. My name is also William.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
Too bad it isn't Bruce.
Unfortunately, no.
Right. Can I call you Bruce?
If you want to guess.
I want
All right, awesome.
to. Okay, Bruce, what do you want to know?
All right, so speaking of Star Trek.
Who was speaking of Star Trek? We're talking about it 30 years ago.
All right, so I just want to know, like, out of all the episodes you filmed, or maybe in any of the movies, like, what was the most...
What was my favorite episode?
No, I was going to ask, what...
I didn't understand.
You're very welcome. What was your favorite filming moment? Like what was the moment that you just had the most fun filming? Like it was such a blast. You look back at it with fond memories and everything.
Well, it's so much that you know, filming with those guys, the original cast, and then did some movies, and then I did a movie with the last movie I did with Patrick Stewart. Maybe Patrick Stewart. We're going to be on horseback all day. That movie where I was on horse. So I had ridden event horses over the past, and in the first 25-mile event that I went on horses, I broke the inside of my legs were also, my boots were filled with blood. So when I got off the horse, God, I'm bleeding. And the guy said, oh, you should have been wearing women's hose. So you pull on silk hose or nylon hose, and it stops you from chafing. So that day when I saw Patrick and we were going to get on horses the whole day, I said, Patrick, you got to read something that people don't know about very much. We'll get you some women's hose and put it on, and it'll stop you from chafing. And that grew very much, that's really good. So we went to our dressing rooms, and the production company supplied us with women's hose. Then I put mine on and came out, and there was Patrick, who had put his on too, on the outside. He was wearing women's hose. Captain Picard. Hello, I've got women's hose on. How are you? Patrick, it's supposed to go on the inside. Then you put your uniform on top of that. That was a big laugh.
Thank you so much.
Right into the microphone. Kiss the microphone.
I was just wondering.
No, kiss. Come on, number one, you can do it.
I was just wondering what it was like to meet Dr. Hawking and then have him actually acknowledge the contribution Star Trek has made to science.
Isn't that amazing? So I did a show called The Truth is in Our Stars. I think they finally named it. And I talked to astrophysicists all over the world. Astrophysicists who make things up. But they do. They say, no, look at that. That's two swirls of energy. It must be a black hole. I think it's a black hole. I'm going to call it a black hole. And I'm going to say that the black hole, everything goes into the black holes in the event horizon, and goes in, and nothing comes out. All the energy goes in and nothing comes out. That's what I'm going to say. Everybody says, what? Look at that. Black hole. It must be a black hole in there. We can't tell it's a black hole because all we can tell is the energy is going around. It seems to go in, and like, okay, it's a black hole. All energy. 5 years later, jeez, made a mistake. It's the exact opposite. Sorry about that. Missed it. They make things up. I got into an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson in his own place, in the place in New York. I got into an argument with him. It was fun, because I know I don't know anything. But I'm not sure about those guys who make things up. I said, how can you say this is occurring, whatever it is he's saying occurring, when 95% of the universe is composed of dark matter and or dark energy? They're just naming it because they don't know what it is because they've never seen it. They're speculating that because the universe is expanding and it should be contracting, that there's a force pushing it up. Let's call it dark energy. 95% of the universe, dark energy. Well, surely that's obscuring all our observations. Surely, like the synchronon of science is speed of light, 460,000 miles an hour, a minute, a second. It's a constant. We measure everything. How can you measure anything when you don't know 95% of 98% some they were guessing, of what's out there? How can you measure anything? So I got into this faux, ferocious argument with Mr. Tyson. It was fun. So now I'm asked to go meet the ultimate. I mean, Neil is the penultimate astrophysicist. but the guy that everybody worships is Stephen Hawking, Dr. Stephen Hawking. And he agreed to see me, so we prepared questions so he could, because I'm sure all of you know he suffers from ALS, and he's totally physically incapacitated. His mind is all there. So here's a mind inside. It's such a science fiction concept that it beggars. It's like me imagining the fear you must have felt when that monster was coming towards you in Tampa Bay. What would it be like to be encased in your body and incapable of anything, of scratching your nose, of itching, of a headache, of a need to go to the bathroom, what eat? I mean, it just is there. And all he can move, all that he can move is like a muscle here. So what they've done is they've put a thing that is sensitive to motion, and he's got a computer, and he moves the mouse on the computer by doing this. I'm doing it more so you can see me, but in fact what he's doing is this. And he moves this thing and it spells out Y, E, S, about that amount of time. So and then he has this mechanical voice on his computer that says, yes, and it doesn't sound anything like he must sound. Yes. So we prepared some questions. They were not great questions, 3 or 4 of them. And so he could spend the time, a month or so before I came up there, typing out the question, because even his most close companion, which I would imagine is his wife, can't say, what do you want to say? You want to say yes? He has to do this. So he answers the questions in advance, but he also told us that he wanted to ask me a question. So we sit down, and he's wheeled in after a bit of a pause, and he's sitting here, and I'm sitting here. And so I'm kind of looking sort of over his shoulder a little bit, like he's right here, and I see the screen. So I can see what he's typing before he presses, before the button is, the mechanical voice says what he wrote. So I've got they wanted the exact question, so I'm reading the question over there, Dr. Hawking, and I asked the question, I forgot what the question was, and this mechanical voice gives me the answer, and I give it, and finally he's answered 3 or 4 questions, and I say to him, now we're in the ad-lib situation. I said, Dr. Hawking, what is it you want to ask me? And now he starts to type out the question. And you know, some great actors, if you're saying, how do you feel, Mr. Olivier? Or Mr. Brando, how do you feel? They might, if they wanted to hold your attention, then they go, fine. And hold your attention forever by just in nothing. So you can imagine. I said, what do you want to ask me, Dr. Hawking? And I'm watching you. I-O-W-O-U-L-D. I'm looking. I would like to it's taking forever. forever. It takes a half an hour. Ask you, what is your favorite episode? Is that unimaginable? And the drama. And we're live. I don't know how they edited it because I didn't watch the show. But I hope they took almost as long as it took him to type it up. Because you were hanging on every letter. W-O-U-L-D. I would. It was unbelievable. And then, wow, okay. You know, I forgot my answer. Because usually when I'm asked that, I make up some answer. Then on Saturday, oh, trouble with tribbles, you know. Oh, the city across the road. But I don't really know. Because I don't think of it that way. The way I think about it, how did that moment work? You know, was there a good moment? Did it say something? Afterwards. And I said, you know, I gave him the truth. I don't really know. I just, 79 episodes, 50 years ago, you know, one I do know that Leonard never liked was the trouble with Spock's brain or something, whatever it was called. He didn't like that. I don't like that one either. But the others are. Then he says, would you like to come to dinner? Would I like to come to dinner? Of course. So now the session is over, and the producer, who's become a friend, is there, and I said to him, I'm going to go to dinner with the doctor. Wait a minute. How do you go to dinner with Dr. Hawking? What do you do? Who says what to whom at dinner? He said, you're going to have to talk. I have to talk. I said, maybe we can have an hour dinner. I could do an hour. I said, no, you got to go for 2 hours. I said, I can't do 2 hours of talking. I'll do an hour and a half. So there we were. They feed him, and I was on Broadway with a one-man show. I think I gave it to Tampa. I did 3/4 of the one-man show. I was performing, you know, while they fed him. It was such an honor. And I made him laugh a couple of times. And the way he laughed was he got red. You know, it was such an honor. I felt so complimented that I did a book on what he typed out, and he was more agile at the time when he came on the Star Trek set, and he was looking at the engineering room. He wrote, I'm working on that. So I wrote a book called I'm Working on That. All right, good, yep, all right, number one. Hi.
I might be in the minority here, but...
What?
I think I'm in the minority here.
Oh, the minority.
One of my favorite things that you've done is your music.
My music?
Yes.
Well, that was most of the people. What?
Especially your album with Ben Folds.
Yes.
And
why would you be in the minority?
I have no idea.
You got great reviews.
They should.
Not a lot of people bought it, but it was a good album.
That's Me Trying is like my favorite song.
Oh, how wonderful.
So I just wanted to know what your favorite song is.
What is it? I'm gonna die. Oh, we're all gonna die. I wrote most of the songs. The one song I didn't write was the cover song of Common People. And I enjoyed doing that with Joe Jackson. With Joe Jackson. That was great fun. And then there was a love song, Familiar Love, which I wrote for my wife, and there was some, and We're All Gonna Die. We're All all gonna die. But it was upbeat. Working with, yeah, hey, we're all gonna die. Everybody laughed. No, we're not. Like, I don't think I'm gonna die. I'm 86 years old. I'm not gonna die. No, I'm not gonna die. On the other hand, again, in the one-man show that I do, and toured and came here, I talk about Dick Shawn. Dick Shawn was a great comedian, funny, very physical, and he was in San Diego, and I started talking in the show. I started talking about holding for a laugh, waiting for a laugh. See, the joke goes out, and you get it. Well, the joke is this. The joke in the show is this. I felt so suicidal over the state of the economy, government, people quitting, and I'm suicidal. I called the suicide hotline, and they routed my call to Pakistan. And I told them that I'm suicidal. And they got all excited and asked if I could drive a truck. All right, so you notice the way I held for a laugh, you know? And the laugh went, oh, I could, oh. So, Dick Shawn was the master of holding for a laugh. He made his whole career. I'm telling something that was hardly a joke, and he'd wait there. And people couldn't believe he could wait that long. The laugh would go up and go down. And he's one away with one. So he's in San Diego, and he was a very physical comic. So he's doing his thing, and he says something with it, and he does a pratfall. Boom! He lands on his face, and just holds it there. People start laughing. Up and down, up and down. Like a wave. Or is it a particle? We don't know. He's just lying there. 7 minutes! 7 minutes! He's lying there! He's dead. He died of a heart attack right there. Getting a laugh. That's the way I want to go. Not now, but I want to go there. That's how I want to die! Suddenly with a laugh. And a beautiful girl like you who's smiling. Look, he's dead. Where am I going next? What? They cut it off?
I understand.
What do you mean they cut it off?
What?
Years and years ago they cut it off, but never again. It's just the way it is.
I understand that
The
you're a
religious
big
right.
fan of Outlander.
Say again.
I understand that you're a big fan of Outlander. And I was wondering if you ever consider doing a show.
No, I'm busy. I'm in Tampa. No, I don't want to do those kind of things. And you got to go so far. Scotland? I don't want to go there. I want to go to Tampa. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure seeing you.